Hey guys, we're here back again. This time we are doing an Akali mid guide here. We did release a video recently playing her, but I wanted to go into more depth as far as what's my rotations, my priorities, what do the abilities do for you guys who are new or just want to get better with Akali. I've played since EU, which was released like 2 days ago. I've played about 41 matches with her, and I'm climbing rank pretty fast. I'm pretty happy about it. She definitely is my main right now, so what better to do a guide on her. Going into it first, her ability. So her first ability does a cone of damage in front of her. It also slows the champions that are impacted by it. And then her second ability is a mist that she puts out, and she can go stealth while not actively hitting anything in that mist. So if she just stands there in the mist, she is in stealth mode. If she actually does something within the mist, it reveals her. So it's one of those things where you kind of want to work it to your advantage. You don't want to just like drop the mist and go all out on an attack. You want to wait for your moments, wait for your energy to come back in that mist, or for the enemy to kind of displace himself in a negative way to capitalize on that. Going into our third ability, it is a shuriken she throws out, which if it marks a champion, you can go ahead and activate it a second time, dashing to that target, as you'll see here in a second. There you go. This engagement wasn't that great, as you can see. I tried to put pressure because they were pushing the lane. That's the thing about Akali, is you want to apply pressure as much as possible, even as a mid laner. Your clear potential is pretty high because you do a cone and you can basically activate it 2, maybe even 3 times in succession. You can really clear lanes quite easily. But anyways, going on to our ultimate. Our ultimate is a dashing ability for the first activation. It only targets champions, whereas the second activation, it can target a location. So that is something that you definitely want to consider when engaging or disengaging, is which activation you're on. Also, the second activation does more damage. I believe the lower they are, I forgot the percentage. I just know it does more damage than the first activation. Here's on Akali main, guys. Not really familiar with the finer details of abilities, but you get the point. If they're lower on health, you're going to end up doing more damage. I think it's 300% more damage. But anyways, so, and then her passive, every time you use an ability, it activates her passive, which gives her a proc on her next basic attack, doing more damage. And then if you do leave the little circle that it creates around you, then it will give you an extended range of like a plus 100, I think. So it allows you to kind of pop off on somebody a little bit further away than normal. But anyways, let's get into how I play her. So the weakness about Akali is her early game, her lane phase, if you will. Because she can get bullied, especially by mages in the beginning. You have to be very cautious with how hard you engage, especially before you hit level 5. Level 5, you can be a little bit more aggressive if you're confident, but you'll see throughout this entire match, the Ziggs kind of just zones me out, and I'm just farming. I'm not really caring about going in on the Ziggs unless I feel like there's an opportunity to capitalize on it. I just farm and then make my rotations. And so, like, as of right now, I'm actively watching the bot lane and the top lane, so I know whether or not to rotate. And I can see the bottom lane is actually starting to extend, so that I might even potentially go over there and try to assist as well once I clear this farm. And there we go. Oh, and then the Yi comes out, so I have to be very careful. One thing with her third ability, her E, is that you definitely want to be able to understand that you can also jump over walls, as you saw earlier. It's not just an engage ability, it's also a disengage, which if you can maneuver with it like over walls, it can really save your butt. It's a huge plus to have in order to be able to jump over walls, because a lot of times when people don't have a flash up, they can't really follow through with you unless they have an ability that allows them to jump over walls as well. But alright, so now I see everybody is in bot lane. I'm going to go ahead and make my rotations, and we're going to go ahead and see if we can get some kills here. I see Ziggs is starting to port, so I try to throw a shuriken in there, but didn't connect. This is where it gets a little bit iffy, so I actually back up because now they're pushed in. You really don't want to dive with Akali if they're not extended, unless they're really low. especially before you get your stasis. Your stasis is like your bread and butter to survival mid to late game. Stasis is the boot enchant, which allows you to go invulnerable for X amount of seconds. It's really nice to stack that with some of your cooldown. So if like you're off cooldown, or if you're on cooldown for your mist, and it's about to come up and you're about to get bombarded by damage, pop your stasis, wait for your mist to come up, and so on and so forth. You should be able to be nice and peachy. Here, I'm really trying to be careful with the Yi. Akali has a relatively low health, so if she gets bursted, she has a hard time surviving. But in turn, she does a lot of bursts herself, so she's all about the element of surprise, or just catching them off guard overall. As far as the spells, I always go Ignite, I always go Flash. Flash is a staple, you always want to have that. And then Ignites is always a nice additive to her damage. Here's like, I'm really starting to pop off, dude. I'm like really happy about it. I popped the Ignite on the Yi a little early because he was trying to heal through his ability. And so with the Ignite, you actually end up reducing the amount of healing he has. Unfortunately, I had 4 people back to back here come and get me, and I don't think I get away from this blitz. I tried to go over a wall, but it was... Oh, no, I did get it. Do I get away? Do I get away? I'm not sure. I forgot. But you can see I'm using the maneuverability of my E to get over walls to try to survive, and it looks like I did. That's freaking awesome. But yeah, so we picked up 3 kills, and then we managed to survive. And now we do have our stasis. I think we go that one first. We do. Okay, nice. She also needs a lot of magic pens. So you see me picking up a lot of the items that have magic pen. I'll put the build in the description down below. You can check it out. It is a build I use continually, and it's a build that I actually found on, I think it's called Ranked Boost, which is a source I use for a lot of my builds for now until I start theory crafting better builds. But yeah, it's solid, and it has so much magic pen that, you know, even if people go defensive items, you still do a reasonable amount of damage. Here, again, I'm making my rotations. Lane, I try to clear as fast as possible so I can rotate as much as possible. If you're not rotating as an Akali, then you're doing Akali wrong, I feel. In my opinion, you want to rotate as much as possible because people cannot... If they're extended and you dive on them, more than likely you're going to kill them because her burst is insane. So here's my rotation. There's multiple rotations, but the one I tend to do a lot, and I'm starting to move away from it, but the first rotation I've started doing when I first started playing Akali is basically I would poke as much as possible with my Q, and then when they get to a point where like I can dive on them with my E, so mark them once, and then I will go ahead and dive into them, and then I pop off on my my Q again. So again, so you go E, you mark them, you E again, and then you're gonna go ahead and use your Q. Then you go into your mist, because what happens is that you're gonna be relatively depleted on energy, and your mist actually gives you energy back. And then from there, you're just gonna go ahead and wash and repeat. And if you have an ultimate, you can also use that as well in that rotation when you see fit. Typically, I use the ultimate to maneuver myself in order to chase, in case I try to get away. I like to use that one a bit more for that reason. The other one is, the other engagement I've started to do is where I would actually engage with my first activation of my ultimate, and then I would use my A, and then I would use my my E, my mark, and then my dash to them again on the second activation, and then I would pop off on mist, and then use my ultimate for the second activation, doing tons of damage. And now it's weird. It's so much information going off. Like you're like, what? What am I doing? Ugh! Dude, I'm going crazy here. But anyways, I forgot this match, so it's actually exciting to watch because I totally forgot what happened. But yeah, so just watch, okay? I'm not the greatest at explaining rotations on abilities, at least for Akali, because it's so crazy. But once you get it down, it's nasty. So let me see if I can break this down again. So you go E, first activation, Q, oh no, sorry. Fuck. E, first activation, E, second activation, Q, mist, Q again, use your ultimate for the chase or even the execute, and there you go. And then the other rotation is your ultimates on the first activation. Then you use your Q again, your E in there as well. You just mark them as much as possible and do the damage as much as possible. But yeah, hopefully you guys understand. I don't know why I'm failing so hard to explain it, even though I do it so frequently. But anyways, here we go. We do have the stasis surviving just a little bit. Oh my god! Oh, well, Lord! I did not expect to live there. I remember that moment where I'm just like, holy crap, that was crazy. Even HellsDevil's like, geez, chill, Rumbly. I'm 10-0 in this match. It's nasty. But yeah, so it's disgusting. Once you start getting your magic pen, it's gonna be brutal. So the counters to Akali, something to be aware of is the counters of Akali, which again, the weakness is the lane phase. The counters are characters that have a lot of health, so tanks. Characters that have a lot of CC, which they can lock you down. Lux is a pretty good one, I feel like, because she can lock you down and she can also reveal you. Ashe is another one that can also reveal you if she knows how to play properly. But my biggest concern has always been tanks, because I can't burst them down as quickly as other characters, and a lot of times those tanks have CC, which makes it hard for me to keep the damage going and have the energy resources to keep the damage going, and therefore that's why I feel like tanks are definitely the hardest characters to go against as Akali. But yeah, so there's that. From there, it's just making sure you get your rotations in, and you want to focus the squishy characters, so the ADCs, the supports. If they have a squishy jungler, you go for that. Never dive onto the tanks first unless you feel like they are overextended and by themselves. Otherwise, you want to focus the squishy characters first. I don't know what Yi was doing there. My god. In stasis, you really have to practice with activating your stasis at the right times, because if you don't, you're going to end up dying. So like here, like I stasis, so I have an opportunity to get out. And I think I get out. Very nice. Oh no, I don't. Oh my god, the flash. I wasn't fast on the flash. But yeah, there we go. So that is how I play Akali. See what else is there. Outside of that, it's just work with your team. You'd never want to engage in a team fight first. I've done it, and it doesn't work out. Do not engage as an Akali in a team fight first. You want to wait until your tank or somebody who is a bit healthier than you to dive in first, or to engage first, so that their focus is on them, and then you go in and pop off. Because what happens is that they're so focused on that first person engaging, or that tank or whatever, or the other ADC, the ADC or the support, who they're trying to focus, and the moment you dive in after the fight breaks out, they're flustered. They're like, oh crap, what do I do? And so they end up just dying because of that. And so that's what you want to do, is you never want to engage first. You want to engage second, maybe even third, and wait for your opportunities. She's an opportunistic character. You want to make sure you take advantage of the moments that present themselves, rather than always trying to make the moments happen. Where you can do it, it's just you got to be very confident, and you got to pick your fights right. Otherwise, you just capitalize on their mistakes. Here's another one. I think I go in. Yep. I'm trying to do a bunch of damage. Unfortunately, I couldn't get off. I actually could have probably picked up that kill with high risk. I could have dived in with my ultimate after and secured the zigs and then flash out, or even use my second activation to dive out with my ultimate. Unfortunately, I just did not feel like it was worth it. The other one too is you want to. This is not just Akali. You want to make sure that you are doing the objectives with your teammates. It's huge. You've got to have those objectives going off, because it's going to make you snowball even harder. If having those buffs from the dragon, having the Baron buffs, it's just going to make it a lot better. Here, I think I ended up dying because I think the Yi, potentially, and the Ziggs. Oh, God! I don't know what I'm doing, but hey, it's happening. We made it work for a second. Calculated. That was all calculated, guys. But, yeah, so there it is. That's the Akali. That's how I play here. I know the one thing I want to cover again is the rotations on my abilities, because I did so horribly with that. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna edit it into the clip so that you guys can see the rotations rather than just hear me explain it and get more confused. So you'll have already seen me put it on the screen, but at this moment I'm still planning on editing it because it hasn't been edited yet. Obviously, I'm recording it, but yeah, and then, so that's that. The other thing is also you want to. So one thing I tend to do is I like to stay with the team late game. This is something that's not specific to Akali. This is anybody playing in Wild Rift. Is that late game you typically want to stay in your team unless someone's trying to split push to put pressure on other sides of the map. But usually it's one person if they're doing that, and then the rest are pushing objectives or pushing more than likely mid lane. It seems to be the 90% of the time people push mid lane. But yeah, you want to make sure that you are... ooh, that is disgusting damage. You are sticking with your team. Because the later the game becomes, especially if there are tanks or characters that have a lot of CC, you can no longer pop off as hard as you could beforehand. And you really start to rely on the team fights to pick up more kills. And so that's another thing about Akali is that late game, she has so much damage, but you really never pick up any defensive items besides the stasis. And so you're extremely squishy. And the moment you're hard CC'd, like a stun or a root, you are more than likely going to die unless you have stasis up or some kind of ability to kind of help you disengage. But yeah, there you go. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this guide to Akali. Again, I'll try to clear up some of the rotations with visual. But hopefully this helps you guys improve your Akali play. I'm playing her quite a bit, so maybe at some point I'll revisit this guide and do an even more elaborate guide, or just a bit better overall as I continue to play this game with this champion. But if you guys like this series, definitely leave a like, comment, and subscribe on the video and the channel, because it helps me a lot on the channel, and I'd really appreciate it. And let's see if we can get this video to 200 likes as well. I think the last one we were just shy once again, you bastards. I'm just kidding. I love you guys regardless. If we don't get to 200 likes, it's fine. It's not a big deal, but that would be awesome, and I'd really appreciate it. And yeah, so next video, I think the guide's going to be Zed. I'm going to be practicing Zed going forward for that. Since I've already played a bunch of Akali, I think it's time I move on to the next champion for the next guides. And so I'll probably play like 40 matches of Zed or so and start getting familiar with him and learning his rotations. And yeah, so there you go. Hope you guys enjoy. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Later!